Hello and welcome to the show. We are here today on BeamNG Drive with a challenge. Well, we are back with a pigeon hunt. Dotted around this arena are 8 pigeons, and they have been placed in, well, rather awkward spots. The aim of the game is simple: to tag each one of the vehicles and then get back across the start-finish line. The fastest time will win. Of course, the route you take around here is entirely up to you. Dagon wants to be an alarm in the background, but you could pick whatever route you wanted to do around here, and the rules for the cars were pretty open. You could go as mad as you wanted, but of course, control is going to be significant here. There are narrow parts, there are roofs you've got to climb on, and so on. Now, up first, it would be Euan that was going to be driving a rather heavily modified Sunburst. We have got some quite extreme suspension, some big off-road wheels, not the most ground clearance, but still plenty going on here. Euan opting to go on this first roof to collect one of the pigeons. Going to shoot off to the other side. It is a big looping spin, a well-executed spin, I must say, to grab the second one, and then you are in position to just drive straight down the ramp. We're going to slide underneath, not into the pillars. The Sunburst, like the big off-road suspension, the Sunburst, I'm not sure the wheels are all that strong. Would not want to clip a wall with them. The chances of them pinging off is quite present. There is some pigeons hidden in these, hidden as such, but they're in these big tunnels. There's only really, you've got these sort of wooden walls along the side. You can't go into the side of the tunnel. You've got to go all the way through it or up to the other end, which, again, all of this will impact what route you take, and Euan is playing it very, very dangerously. That almost slipped off the side, got away with it, gathered it all back up, gets the vehicle turned around. I mean, this section here, it's not crazy narrow, but it's narrow enough that you can't afford to mess around. You do need some control. Pushes that pigeon out of the way. We've got just one more to get that is up a pretty nasty lip here, which the Sunburst is having issues on. The under tray is catching on the logs, and it does not quite want to climb. Finally will get away with it, can nudge that one, back the car up, almost slides off again. You would be very close to falling off in a bunch of places with this Sunburst, but it is a blast across the line, and that will set the benchmark. A 139.6 for the Sunburst. A good run. Got stuck in a couple of places. The ground clearance, or the under tray, I think, being the main culprit in this one. The whole front bash bar. Good for pushing pigeons out of the way, less good for climbing stuff. Rusky up next is, well, trying their own automation contraption. This is a sort of lifted Formula 1 car. Sure, why not in all of this? It makes a interesting supercharger sound. Rusky's going for a brave option in this. Did not quite have the speed to get that landing there. Now, node grabbing was allowed. You can right your vehicle. Indeed, Rusky has pulled the car over, but you're not allowed to reset. So any damage that is done to the vehicle will persist throughout your run. By the looks of it, the vehicle has got away with it. It's very bouncy. It's very bouncy. Bunny hopping Formula 1 car here into the tunnel. It's actually a surprisingly, well, I say a surprisingly big jump as punt that vehicle out of the way. Especially when you've got a softer suspension as this, that ramp will launch your vehicle into the air. There goes the supercharger. There is more supercharger whine than engine sound here. We'll punt clear of the next one. You can see though it's struggling to turn. Bouncing in the air like that, not going to be conducive for good corner speed or good grip or anything real, or confidence in your car, I would have thought. We have clonked the next one. Rusty grabs reverse. There are 3 more pigeons. I don't think they got the one at the bottom yet. It's going to just about work its way through it. That does not look comforting. It's shaking about, but we push through the next pigeon. The time's not too terrible in this, all things considered. We will go up. It does clear that sort of ramp part there, no problem. Well, that's a brave choice. Has landed surprisingly well. Right, that's a bigger problem. That's the issue. If you don't go off these, you absolutely can go for, as we collect the last of the pigeons, for dropping down off of the various things, but you've got to have the vehicle to do it. And, well, it survived one drop early on, but it's still going to make it across the line, a 55.2. For the custom machine, but suspension was not really strong enough. Maybe not the best of dismounts for. However, it made it on 3 wheels, which is, somewhat impressive. Up next, we have got Shados. They are running the GPV is essentially a Willys Jeep, although this is a heavily modified. We'll go for a very different starting route. I'm not quite sure where we're off to here, but we are going. We're blasted off to the back of the arena. Now, sometimes the shortest route around these courses may not necessarily be the most efficient if you have to do lots of fiddly maneuvers. If you can keep an average speed higher doing something else, this is the joy. Why I love this as a challenge, because everyone is all that got some understeer going on there. Everyone is free to try and come up with their own routes and their own strategies. This GPV thing here has got crazy power to weight ratio. It's about 400 horsepower, but it weighs very little. So it's got 400 horsepower, weighs I think just under a ton. So yeah, it's a big power to weight ratio on this. Doesn't make it the easiest thing in the world to drive, but there we go. We are making good progress. We've bumped our way through about half of them. The route, I'm not entirely sure. We've still got to go down. Not quite sure why I didn't go for this one in the first charge to the back. If you're going to go through, yeah, it seems like a little bit of a excessive looping around on this route. However, the vehicle is still under control. We've got 3 more left to get. You do need a small enough vehicle to get under here, although it does look like a bit of a tight fit. Shadows is overshot slightly. Does well, actually, to kind of spin that round, recover. There's a bit of a reverse wheelie going on it. You can see how light this thing is. It is mad as we head up onto the roof for the final time. Now, does this have the strength? Might be able to shortcut to the finish line if you can hit this final one and jump off the roof. But like Rusky did, only a little bit smoother. Don't know whether this is going to have the straw. Well, it made contact. Don't know if they were attempting or not. It's spun around either way, going for the safe option. When I say that, it's been on 2 wheels and almost fallen over twice at the end of this. It'll run across the line, and it's faster than the F1 car. It does not beat Euan's Sunburst, though. I think a quick enough vehicle, a well-composed run, a little bit of a long looping route in places, but it made it to the finish line. Threatened toppling over a few times, but that was about it. Gliscor up next is running, and this is an odd choice. This is a Tograc, a barely modified, in fact it's an unmodified Tograc. The only difference from a standard spec is that it's been painted blue. That is it. This is a normal road car doing what is a pretty damn extreme test of a vehicle. Gliscor is going for a similar route. We saw Rusky take a similar route. This one here, not quite. Not quite the same, of course. This doesn't have the ground clearance or the suspension to deal with the landing, and we are going a completely different way at this point. Having got the first 2, we are on to this platform. We're going to nudge that one out of the way. We're going for a reverse. Not a bad idea to go away, because the biggest struggle for the road car is going to be this section. Climbing up that log there is pretty nasty, but it is doable. The Tograc's lost its bumper, but that's fine. We've got a very different direction here. Not a terrible idea, though. It saves having to make awkward turns on the platform. You can, again, keep speed up. We will push through this one. That, thankfully, does move out of the way quite nicely for the... It's always a risk trying to push through the pigeons. It's always a risk them not doing what you want them to do, not getting past them. So we're going to try and collect these ones in the tunnel, presumably next. And I think we've just got the one at underneath the ramp for the Tograc. That's a big jump. Again, bear in mind, this is a stock road car. This is not a heavily modified thing. It's shedding bits of bodywork, as you might expect, through all of this. There is the final one, which we bump into. It won't beat Euan's time, but I tell you what, it's done remarkably well. Oh, the exhaust has come off. We're going for the jump. Oh, it's almost a big accident, but it is across the line. It's a remarkably good time. A 1:43.2 for a normal road car that has been entered into a rather extreme off-roading test. I'm quite impressed with that. Mika up next with the Centuria. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that one correctly, but we've got a big modern SUV. It's sort of a big modern Land Cruiser style, Lexus style thing. Now, this is I think the heaviest of the vehicles here at something near 3 tons. That is a lot of truck. There's a lot to get moving around a very tight and a very narrow course. It does have a good chunk of power, but there's still an awful lot of weight. We're going for the similar route, and almost fell off backwards there at the start here. A lot of people opting to go for these ones early on. We are back down to the centre, not going for the same route that Gliscor did. Instead, we're collecting the one underneath the ramp next. That's, yeah, as it makes sense. We can loop around here and try and get it turned. Having to use a bit of reverse there. It's a cumbersome vehicle, this one. It really is. Okay, I was kind of expecting it to go left in reverse up here and then go forward outwards, but either way, it doesn't matter too much. It will collect one. We're going to have to go for a turn. Ooh, that's not quite gone. It's not quite gone the place you would have wanted. It's going to have to do a bit of an awkward 3-point turn. It doesn't have the best... I mean, this is the downside with it. It doesn't have the best turning circle. In theory, it shouldn't have too bad a... Oh, we're going... That's a brave choice, actually. Straight over the pigeon. I was expecting to push it out of the way, but nope. We've gone for a big climb in this one. It's got decent suspension in all of this, but it's not really being... We're going to push that one out of the way quite nicely. That worked out well for the car. We're going to go for a drop off here. Ooh, it's a crunchy landing zone for that one. That's a log you don't particularly want to crash into. Into the tunnel we go. Nope, you've managed to steer around it. I do, but you don't want to. You want to clip these, so you aren't going to go for a, not necessarily go for a direct hit, but you do need to hit the pigeons for it to count. It's been it is just a bit cumbersome, this. Oh, and that's clonked the ceiling. You see what I mean about the jump into here? That pushes. There's a lot of SUV pushing its way through there. It's going to head up towards the line, and it is across just over 2 minutes around the course. It's a bit too big and a bit too heavy, probably, for this sort of thing, and might not quite have the turning circle, but it has made it through the course. Dageman has gone an even sillier route. Not, why not try and hunt the pigeons with a pigeon? Now, this is a completely stock 30-odd horsepower. Actually, no, it's not a completely stock. It does have a welded or locking diff of some sort. Yes, I had to slow the camera down because it's not very fast. It is a choice. Now, the fact if this could even make it around the course, it would be impressive, seeing as it is about as bogged down. The only thing it has going for it is it's very light. Lightness is good. I guess being small is pretty good. As it deposits one of its friends off the side of the building there. It can, but J-turn is brave. You can very easily fall over with these. Well, that's some oversteer with the 30 horsepower pigeon. Not ideal. We're going to collect the ones on the bottom. Just about. Nope, that's what happened there. As it's grabbed and spun. Because I mean, it's very light. They are the same weight. They are basically the same vehicle in this one. Now, you'll be wary with the pigeon. For cars, this section is not a problem. However, having 3 wheels and a single wheel at the front, you've got to be really careful. It doesn't really want to turn up here either. That the front wheel doesn't get wedged and stuck in between the logs. You've got to have a very, very precise route. I mean, this is a big climb for the pigeon. There's a little bit of lag going on. It has actually, it is impressive to have been able to climb up that section. There is what would scupper a lot of road cars with this car. I mean, there would be a route around for the rest of it, not necessarily a fast route, but that part is a serial. Still got problems. Yeah, it's got problems with the front wheel getting stuck. Stage, I'm going to try and reverse it again up the hill. It's still got issues trying to clear that sort of lip. The front wheel does not want to. We're going to go around. No. Maybe, possibly. It's going for a 3-point turn at this point. Might have been quicker dropping off or going down the ramp and heading up a different part. There we go. It has managed to make it through. It's always going to be difficult with a 3-wheeled vehicle, but it is still going. It is still going through here. Got to try and make the turn without falling over and without understeering into oblivion. It's always a good idea. I'm going to go for probably a wise idea. Go a reverse along here. You're not going to be doing any fancy. There is contact. That is enough to count. You're not going to be jumping off of roofs. You're not going to be taking any shortcuts when you are driving a pigeon around here. And I think that just leaves 2 more to get that will be at maximum attack for the pigeon. It might be smoking or steaming slightly. It's fine. It's all good. Oh, it's been grabbed again. The other pigeons, they did not want to let go. It is as all you can manage speed now through this. This tunnel. 1 more section to go for the pigeon. I mean, it's not going to be a record time. However, astonishingly, that one there is cleared out of the way, no problem. It is, unless it magically breaks down, it is going to be a completed run for a stock pigeon on, again, a pretty extreme course. It is a 3 minutes 13 for the pigeon. It was a completed run. That is about what I can manage to say, which is quite impressive. Now, I have gone a very different way. This is an Ultra 4 buggy, and it is, well, monstrous. 860 horsepower. It is over 2 tons, but I've got proper suspension. Now, everybody else was allowed to bring. There was a variety of proper off-roaders, just no one else did. And, well, I'm going to make the most of this by using the suspension travel, by using the ground clearance. We are able to hop off these routes to try and make a more sort of looping run, and we can clear these pigeons out without too much of a concern. Running over the bed of one doesn't really affect the suspension of this buggy all that much. Again, aim for the bed of the truck. You can kind of crash through it without it likely to be affecting me. The next one is one of the dangerous ones. I've got to be a little bit careful because this is quite a wide vehicle on a relatively narrow platform, but it's time to try and climb over a pigeon. Never easy to be consistent with that one, but it's fine. Oh, clonked on the sort of transition there between the surfaces, got away with it. Again, with it being a big vehicle, trying to go for minimising 3-point turns where we can. Unfortunately, on the brakes, had the nose diving and clonked the log, but we get away with it. Now, the slightly tricky dismount off of the roof, you've got to try and keep the nose up. Maybe not quite that much, kind of a slap wheelie was unhelpful through all of that, but we can clip the final of the pigeon, and it's going to be a blast to the line, opting to navigate through the building, and it will run across the line, and maybe a little unsurprisingly, Euan is dethroned from the top of 126.2. Quite simply, the buggy was able to drop off the roof in places and do routes that other cars just simply couldn't. Blazer with I-Series minus, well, most of the bodywork. Relatively powerful I-Series. This one is opting for the straight blast through the arena off the start line. Going to go and collect the further back pigeons. Makes sense. Okay, no, take that back. Maybe not. We're going to go for a spin around, loop it around, and going for the one under the platform next. Okay, so the plus point you get with these over, let's say, the buggy thing that I ran. Where is this going? This is a very different route. This is not a route that I would have particularly thought of, but fair enough. Okay, we're going to swoop into this bit. And now there is seemingly some, I'm going to guess that's some desync. I don't think that front wheel is flapping. That would not be driving as well as it was. So we're collecting this end. I think it's the only vehicle so far to go for not go all the way through the tunnel in this. That's fine. Well, I'd say the advantage of something like this, let's say over my buggy, is this will have a better turning circle. This will be able to do the more intricate manoeuvres in theory, but it won't have the ground clearance suspension strength to do the jumping off of stuff, essentially. Blazer slows down and does clear that one quite nicely. Time's not looking bad for the I-Series. You're going to struggle to beat the buggy in this one. You're going to have to hop down. That is a dangerous angle. So close to getting clobbered by that. I like the approach, because if you don't jump off there, you're going to have to do a really awkward chicane, but that log could have easily claimed a car. We've got one more to go. The time is just ebbing away now from the I-Series. Difficult to tell if there is much damage on the front of this one with the desyncy wheel. It almost slides off the roof. Oh, straight off the roof as well. It's going for a bit of a dramatic finish. Can't get it to turn around, and it's across the line. It crashed into the line, but it was across it when it crashed. It was a spectacular run from the Blazer in this one. A 153.0 in the end for the I-Series. Yeah. It was definitely quite a run. Finally, we have Hyper driving the hopper. Actually, the most powerful thing here, I think, about 900 horsepower going on in this one. Now, this is an interesting. I did contemplate this as a start to my run. Go for the jump over the. That's the downside of it. I did contemplate it, and in testing, I could do it. But the thing is, you've got to hit that hard, and you've got to jump the pigeon, like clip the roof of the pigeon, and you run the risk of doing this. You run the risk of having a big accident, and yeah, that's was spectacular. Now, of course, I said you can node grab the vehicle to put it back on, onto its wheels. This one, though, has got some heavy steering damage. It is not very nice to drive. So, as were the rules with this, everyone got 2 runs. It would be the best of your 2 runs. Hyper was going to be allowed to have was going to be using their second run. Again, going for the same route. This time, less committed on the speed up here. Probably sensible, having gone for a big flip and a big accident. This sort of starts a massive wheelie from the hopper. This was one of the routes that I contemplated using, partially because it was fun to jump over the pigeon, and the buggy was a slightly more composed job of it than the hopper. But yeah, Hyper has collected the first 2. We'll head into the tunnel. It's not easy to drive this thing. There's a lot of power and, well, quite possibly not control to go with it through all of this. Slide away through, mind the roof, gets away with that one. Not a terrible crash there, but does recover it. We're going to try and get it turned. That is quite a turn to get that one right as we blast towards the one underneath the ramp, and it's gone over. That was hit a little bit too hard, and the hopper has found its way back onto its roof once more. It was actually going quite good for time for the hopper. It was looking quite good, but it's now time is ebbing away as it flips itself back onto the wheels. Oh, that doesn't look. I think the hopper's got steering damage. And that will be, that will be that. The hopper, again, there might be some desyncing going on, but that's definitely not turning, and that is the end of the hopper's run. Although, admittedly, as spectacular as the hopper wasn't the only one having issues there. Euan's first attempt, well, that ended very quickly when they got the loopy turn wrong, fell off the roof, and immediately lost a wheel. Again, quite entertaining, and did happen within about the first 10 seconds of their run. That's a risky turn. Funnily enough, that is a very, very risky turn to do. Rusky also, at the very start of their run with the crazy Formula 1 car, was opting to go for a sort of higher speed, push the vehicle off. The problem is, if you land it even slightly wrong in that, well, you're going to have problems. And sure enough, having lost both wheels on the first run was not particularly great. Not many vehicles could deal with jumping off of the roofs. You need some serious suspension. I mean, this one here with a lock diff could kind of, or a locking, I don't know what diff it's got in it, but it could kind of move, but not ideal. The Tograc, well, it did complete both of its runs without a massive run-ending crash. However, much to all of our amusement, it did manage to get wiped out by the pigeon. In clonking the rear of it, it spun the pigeon around with enough speed that it actually rotated the Tograc, which was quite funny in the grand scheme of things, but it wasn't completely run-ending. Mika's first attempt got a little bit stuck dealing with this one pigeon. Got away with it, managed to climb over it, was heading for their rooftop jump, and there are definitely some bonus points for the Monster Jam-inspired Endo. Very impressive, very elegant landing. While some time was lost in general in that run, that particular bit was good. Danger Man, well, they did complete a run, which is, impressive given what they are driving. However, the second attempt, well, that didn't quite go so well. First of all, managing to tumble off the roof immediately. The three-wheeled vehicle, not exactly the most stable, but amazingly it landed on its wheels and was able to continue. However, went to the second one, still on the first roof, I should add, in trying to, go as fast as possible, reversed a little bit too far, couldn't get traction, and then was stuck. Proceeded to slide off the roof and fall, and at this point, too much time had been lost to ever be challenging the first run. Turns out a pigeon's not really suited to this sort of thing. Even my buggy that was mighty fast in this and a highly capable vehicle, well, on my second run it was going well, however I landed awkwardly on the front left, dropping off the wall, and I lost a significant amount of steering. It wasn't complete and total loss at this point, but we snapped the front left drive shaft, bent a lot of the steering, and that gave me real handling issues as we were to run across the line. We did finish the run in that one, however, an awkward landing. Even with a vehicle like this, an awkward landing was going to give me grief, and I just put too much weight on the front left. Didn't get the turn right, and that was costly for for the buggy. And Blazer. Well, with the I-Series, they were opting for a more risky route initially. The problem is, on landing, much like we saw with Rusky's F1 car, this one lost steering heavily, proceeded to bump into the wall, and then lost even more as both front wheels popped off. That is not decent. Both front wheels came off the car. So, yeah, that was not an ideal run at all for the I-Series. So there were quite a few bumps and shunts along the way, but here we go. This is the leaderboard. It would be victory for me in the Ultra 4 buggy. Maybe not a big surprise. Everyone could bring sensible stuff if they chose. They just didn't choose, and I wanted to drive that buggy because it's really bloody cool. Euan was the closest competitor, a 139.6 with the Sunburst, and honestly would have been a much closer competitor had it not got stuck. It probably lost a good 5 seconds trying to deal with that log. So, you know, the Sunburst put up a very, very good fight, and I have to say the most impressive of all was Gliscor. The Tograc, that, again, I will state was a completely stock road car, managed to do a 143. Yes, it's not challenging the buggy, but it beat some specifically built off-road stuff. That is very impressive for Gliscor to get that vehicle onto the podium. Blazer was in fourth. That's very close between Blazer in fourth, just beating out Shados. Rusky would end up in sixth. Not bad for the bounciest Formula 1 car you have ever seen. Mika would end up in seventh, just behind that little group. Dangerman did finish with a pigeon, which was impressive, even if it wasn't very fast. And Hyper had a wildly out of control hopper, and things were going quite well on their second run, but steering damage, a bit of a heavy hit on a pigeon and steering damage would cause issues. Or this was Hyper's first run in a Beam filming session, so, you know, with quite a wild vehicle, nothing to sniff at. But there we go, that is going to be it for this video. I do love the pigeon hunts, they are very, very good fun. I thank you all very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this one. Until next time, goodbye.